Well, the concept of a high-performance SUV is not a new one, but blending the best attributes of a sports car and a high-riding wagon will cost you a pretty penny. That is until now, with this, the Juke Nismo RS.
The Juke has been in Australia for 5 years now, and while extremely popular in the UK where it's built, its quirky style hasn't really resonated with locals. In standard form, it competes against the likes of the top-selling Mazda CX-3 and Mitsubishi ASX as an urban runabout. But this car is in a league of its own, as Nissan's official performance division Nismo is the first to put some sizzle into the city-sized SUV segment. It joins the heroic GTR Godzilla and the iconic retro-inspired 370Z as the final element of Nismo's lineup in Australia. Like those two, it comes with more grunt, sports-tuned suspension, a host of unique exterior modifications, and an upgraded cabin with figure-hugging bucket seats and fake carbon fibre trim highlights.
You get the impression this isn't your standard little urban runabout as soon as you hop in the cabin, and there is a sprinkling of Nismo all over it. All the tactile surfaces have got Alcantara on them. The steering wheel, on top of the little instrument cowl here, and these beautiful seats. And then when you press the starter button, it's got a nice little fizzy note to the 1.6 litre turbocharged engine. But when you really get stuck into it, it doesn't elevate much further than that. It's a bit whooshy, and it does run out of puff at the top end. However, there aren't too many cars in this class like this at all. This is a little hot hatch on stilts.
Under the bonnet, the Juke Nismo RS has an upgraded version of the same 1.6 litre turbocharged four-cylinder from the TIS that has stood as the flagship model up until now. It has been tweaked to produce higher outputs of 160 kilowatts and 280 newton metres in our front-drive manual-equipped test car, while fuel consumption increases to an average of 7.2 litres per 100 k's. It isn't cheap though. Priced from $37,790 plus on-road costs in front-wheel drive form with a 6-speed manual gearbox, or $41,490 with all-wheel drive and a CVT automatic.
The engine has plenty of punch when you're off the line. This thing doesn't weigh that much, so it doesn't have to have a heap of power to actually feel all that quick. And the suspension, well, it's tied down pretty nicely. It does feel a little fidgety over some bumps, and there is a huge amount of torque steer, particularly in the wet when you get up it for the rent and the front wheels scrabble for traction. Otherwise, it's a fun little jigger to punt along. Who's going to want it? I don't know. But for those that do, it's certainly got a bit of character to it. Well, it's hard to see the value in the Juke Nismo RS, particularly as it competes right against hot hatches like the Golf GTI and Hyundai i30N. What can't be denied though is this is in a league of its own. There is no other city SUV with this much performance or this much unique style.